Today our intro is different from the usual intros. I want to start by reading this to the guest. It comes from one of his own, Usamkelo Shane, Comrade Mzi. Usamkelo. Nobody will dictate terms for us. If the program doesn't speak to us, we shall never support it. Comrade Mziyanda, the councillor, was a Ward 53. My brother, kunjani?
Siyaphila njani bhuti?
Sharp man.
Asibonga.
Ngitshela.
Yeah.
I know Ngama Sundays usually, as an activist, you want to rest and prepare yourself for Monday. It's not my issue, see country. Siyabonga for your time.
All right.
You are a very accessible person. So we thank you so much.
No, ngiyabonga bhuti. Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
You know, the quote that you just quoted from the fellow, it reminds me of a campaign we used to have in our youth league as well, that there's nothing for us without ourselves.
Yes.
You know, so it's so similar to that, you know, that much as we want progress, but progress must speak, you know, something to us. We must see the impact in the surrounding and in ourselves. Yes.
Councillor Mzi, let's just have, it's not an interview. We are going to have a conversation as son of the soil. I'm not going to start you from primary school and stuff. I just want to start from the secondary level.
Yeah.
Iskela lesibungena kuso up until your highest level.
Yeah, iskolo, you know, after izimpi, I think I left Thokoza 92. Primary, it was Katula. Then I was very young at the time, so we were Panswe detachment because we were not STUs, we were very small. So basically, it was ama rock nan. So then I bangithatha bangise Eastern Cape ngifunde kusikolo lapha in high school abathi kuse Joslovo in Moltino.
Okay.
And then immediately after that, then they brought us back, you know, to Thokoza. That's where I did my matric in the Eastern Cape, in Joslovo Senior Secondary. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the highest level of education?
I did PR, Public Relations at Vets Tech. I got as a CUJ. I also did municipal governance and public administration, also with UJ. Few certificates with Vets, School of Governance. And I'm now doing my final year LLB student.
Okay.
Hopefully I'll be graduating next year, April.
Let's talk more on the educational platform. You as a person, when you look around our community, Gauteng as a whole, the issue of the graduates, there's a lot of abantwana baye ekurhuleni and stuff, but when you look today in terms of imisebenzi, there's nothing for them. You take as an activist in regards to that.
Yeah, well, there's two things, because we must not discourage that kids must go to school and graduate, but really there's a serious question of unemployment. I think we are sitting at 62%, you know, contributed only by youth, you know, on unemployment. Well, that, you know, it's a real call, you know, to check whether our systems and the market, you know, the economy of the country really, you know, and the qualifications that our kids are getting, you know. I think there's misalignment, you know. Though I don't want to just blame it to that only, but generally leadership, government, because we must have a foresight. We must be able to know, you know, how do we address this, because now it has become a real challenge that our kids now are qualifying, but they are not employed.
One of I'm the brother, Usani Masbugu. He likes to say this to me, to say, Vusi, you know, the best gift that you can give to your child is education. And I think that's way profound. When you look at Niskati Sako during your time while you're doing matric or high school and compared to now I'm talking in terms of, yes, of course, the government will say in terms of the pass rate, look, round of applause, we did very well. Like just now, not so long ago, we did what? Almost 90%, if not 90% of the pass rate.
Yeah.
And in terms of such things versus the skills, which one should come first?
The skill that is invested in these young people should be a priority. It should not just be a matter of, oops, we now have a Melusi certificate.
Sure.
But when you check, the argument that, that was making rounds in January, where there was a question that how do you say we have passed with this percentage if you're still utilizing 33%, 40%, so I think we should invest more on the skill, the building the necessary, skills and capacity, that are best suitable to change our economy for the better. It can't be just, they went to school, they've passed matric, but when you check, where can they go after that? We don't know. They are not attractive into the market. That's the problem that we must address.
Young people are very angry at your veteran, that is comrade Gwede Mantashe of his statement, by the way. Remember, you may say something and the meaning be the other way around. They are saying, look, not that we are lazy. We do have qualifications. If we are saying in terms of providing a massive way to the corporates, to whom because of Ipane Aziko, how can you maybe, as an activist and a member of the ANC, in trying to explain exactly of what Mantashe was saying?
Well, I guess the pressure, is mounting. I'm not going to come in and defend the old man, or neither, speak in support of those that are angry. Really, on my side, it's a matter of continuing, doing our best in capacitating the young people, and also conscientizing them. What we have left, I think we've left a vacuum. There's a void where youth many a times is only, I must say that 24 hours, they are exposed to the information given by TV, Facebook, YouTube, at the comfort of the homes, we don't take it upon ourselves in convening these young people at a street, at the section, continue conscientizing them that we might be having this challenge, but be ready at all material times, So indeed, there's many of them we can attest, that they are applying, they are submitting. As a councillor, I'll tell you now that on a daily basis, I'll get young people coming to my office or to my house, showing me that, councillor, look at how many times I've applied.
Yeah.
I'm not called for interview. Or sometimes I'm called for interviews, but the posts are then reversed and closed, We don't know what is happening, So from time to time, we must be able to motivate them, and work with them, sharpen them, because education is not only formal as well. While they are there in the street, not employed, what are they doing? Aren't we maybe supposed to then try and educate them, about other things like civil education, where we'll be now teaching them how do we as general society relate with leadership, with government, what is expected, from those that are leading us, and also as they are thriving and trying to be somebody in life, what kind of tools are they picking up in the process while they are not in formal arrangement, but they are engaged.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. While we're still on education, Mr. Lesiba, uthi TikTok, the youth of then, now let's cut scene. There was a program that was being driven by them that talks to the city of ekurhuleni in terms of our own university. Do you think he's right? Do you think it's high time whereby we do have such institute?
Well, young people of ekurhuleni should not stop, the call of pushing that government must, have a university. Ekurhuleni is a metro. It's a city that, I think we're sitting at just over 3 million people. You'd realize that if you go to Verts, and collect the data there, there's a number of young people who are coming from ekurhuleni, UJ, Tax, Tshwane, and other provinces. Now, and we're the only metro, by the way, that does not have a university. And we've been, as we started, and I agree with Lesiwa, we started that call a long time ago. And I'm happy that, young people of today are still, very firm that we need a university, and it's practical. It's something that is doable.
Yeah. I just want to check, man, because mina invite her when you bring the whole force, even your chairperson, comrade lapha ukhona lapha, and you even brought Samgelo here. And I know Samgelo is on the ground in terms of speaking to the young people of what comrade Lesiba said and what the council is saying now in terms of the university like ekurhuleni. What is your take as a young activist? No, you can speak from there, it's fine.
No, thanks, Brother Vusi. I fully concur with what Comrade Lesiba said before. Yes, we are indeed in need of a university in ekurhuleni.
Yeah.
Yes, the stats are there. Young people are learning in high institutions. However, yes, maybe it's the issue of a budget. Not that the NC government doesn't want to capitalize on the program, but the issue now is the budget.
Sure.
Yes, but the call is there. Even the youth leadership of Gauteng, they are doing the program. We can also see the regional leadership leading the program also.
Yeah.
So indeed, we are in need of the university.
Yeah.
Yes.
Speaking of the youth league, Councillor Mzi, how vibrant it is youth league just around the Katoras of the ANC?
We do have structures of the ANC Youth League in the Katoras. We have divided Katoras into two zonal, or you may refer to as sub-regions, for Sloras, Katlehong, and Thokoza. We call them Polsihlu, Grace Platela in Zone 10, all the way down to Zone Kizizwe. Almost all the wards are having structures, structure meaningly that young people have gathered with those that are having membership and elected their branch chairperson, branch secretary, and the whole executive, to run programs that are meant to be run by the ANC Youth League. So there are structures, they are vibrant. They might not be as what we want, given the state, of general politics at this point in time, both the ANC Women's League, ANC Youth League, generally, when I'm given a platform, mangikhuluma emphakathini, sikwi state sencelikiti, incelikiti, it's a fatigue of some sort, I don't know if there's a direct translation in English, but that's the reality, we're there. But young people, it's them who are in the forefront, calling for the university. For that reason, it shows you that, there are vibrant young people that are still active in the area.
Usually, man, podium was you when encouraging or emphasizing on what the youth should be. You as cadres, you normally use this phrase to say, each and every generation in a mandate. Yeah. Are you giving the Youth League, generally in Gauteng or across the country, their platform to raise their views in terms of how should the ANC government do?
In fact, Bravos, youth should not be given a mandate. Young people, in their character or nature, they are a strata. They are in a space of becoming. They should be an irritant, to the leadership, to those that know, because they must challenge the status quo. So young people at all material time, their mandate should be derived and be informed by their frustrations and what future are they envisaging themselves. Because if it's us that are giving the young people a mandate, we might run a risk of wanting to lead from our graves. 30 years from now, whatever that I think is relevant for me at this point in time, it might not be relevant, in 30 years' time, and they will be leading, it would be unfair, for them to say that we were given by Bramzi this, and it's not working. So young people as a strata, they must at all material times have a clear mandate to address a particular struggle. Because struggle is something that will always be there. It continues, it never stops. After one milestone, there's definitely the next one, to address, so that you change the what is happening now for a better future. There's even internationally, there's evolution, there's global evolution. Young people are engaged in issues of technology, AI, and they must, see to it that they are better than us, and because if they miss that train, they will be behind, in terms of the global evolution.
Let's get to a very interesting part of your life. That is, you've been a councillor, so what?
53.
53. And in my research, you people are saying you're a darling. Let me ask this first. Are you like coming back?
That's not my call.
Okay.
That's not my call.
That's some girl's job to do.
Not really.
Yeah. Okay.
That belongs to the people. In generally, it should be the people.
Your experience as a councillor, and please take us through as to a role a councillor in a community. What is it? Because we seem to be getting lost in terms of who's the client and who's the person that should listen to our complaints of the client. Take us through that journey. So, because remember, the local government elections of 2026, give or take, they're going to be very different.
Very different.
The ANC is speaking to young people. The ANC is on the ground, trying to mobilize in terms of the lost ground. Give us the role of a councillor in a community.
That's a very important one, and really it's not spoken to the way it should be. That's another vacuum, that must be addressed. I hope it's not going to be said by me here, but in every material platform we find, this must be addressed. The role of the council, it's in twofold, by the way. A councillor is a representative of the community at large, where you follow up on issues that are bothering the community. That's one part, giving feedback to the community, following up on matters. But there's this other very important one where councillors are then forming part of the council, which, in private sector it's referred to, or you'd want to refer to as a board of directors. Okay. Where department will make their business plan and present that to the general council, and council would sit there, go through those plans and approve them for the departments to have budget. Once the council, vote then council approving the budget, it means now that the executive is able to implement. But those budgets are consulted with the society at large. So there's a process, everything, there's a calendar, in fact, the year calendar, where, councillors must go to the community and ask the community that what is it that you want it to be featured in these plans, so that when we go and approve the IDP, which is a 5-year, program, it must, feature 95% of it must come from the general public. Those are the customers, because even the budget itself, by the way, it's coming from the people.
Okay.
As the metro, we collect, I think, 90% of our budget, it's collected from the people. And then a smaller portion will come from grants, If, for instance, the city of Ekurhuleni is sitting about 65 billion, 60, will be collected from, revenue. And then the 5 billion will then be equitable share that comes from national treasury through grants, you see. So that's the work of the councillors, and then the main, both in parties, they do monitoring and oversight. Once the decisions are agreed upon, are ready for implementation, as a councillor on monthly and quarterly basis, you must check that is that road being built? Is that community hall being built? Are they still utilizing the same budget? Because also if it's 10 rand, it must be 10 rand, not 20 rand.
Yes.
If it's 20 rand, then somebody must come in and account why you overspent.
Yeah.
And also, what should be then the response to that, So that's the major role. But the last one, which is very much important, is educating our people. Civil education. At a street, at a section, at the ward at large. I've started a program where every service delivery matter that is reported to me by a particular section in my ward, I tell them all the time, give me 2 people, we'll go to the department relevant.
And address this issue.
Yeah, so that in the process, I'm able to educate them. And in the absence of me now, or in the absence of the lazy councillor, in the future, they will be able to do things on their own.
On their own.
Yeah. So I think that one is very much important. So that is, according to me, that is the role of the councillor.
You've been a councillor, Thokoza. There's fewer things that are not being done correctly, and I'm seeing this as a member of Ward 56. For example, you start to check, Councillor Mziyanda, your auditorium. You start to check on your youth center that the roof has collapsed. Now we are talking of a role of a councillor vis-a-vis the community. I doubt, but I think the chairperson of Ward 56, therefore, he might jump in and give us as to what I'm about to say. Is it correct or incorrect? The people of Ward 56 who were a roof youth center, and I doubt if the community was called in terms of the report. And when the voters are complaining to say the ANC is not doing umsebenzi, they are not saying the council. They generalize in saying the councillor ANC is not doing what it's supposed to do. Now, in a situation as far as a youth center, how often do you think the community should get the report? Because Leah Hall, it plays a very important role. Very important role in our history. If you remember the TRC, they used to be held there and so on. The Leah Hall has got its own history. Now, ekurhuleni, how often should the community get the report?
As the city, we divided the year into 4 quarters, where we must have quarterly reports. And as an organization, ANC, we've taken a decision that all councillors, at least each month, they must have a public meeting. Now, it can either be on monthly basis, but obviously you can't, if the same report is still the same for the past 3 months, you can't want to regurgitate, in that. but at least on quarterly basis, there must be a report. And there must be an activity, It's just that wards are demarcated for us to manage the representation. So I can't represent, issues of Ward 56 direct, but as a councillor in the city, I'm one of the people, who are not necessarily, in fact, I am disappointed that there's no frequent response in terms of what happened and what are the plans, and it's a matter that I can take it upon myself in collaboration with the councillor, the ward councillor consent, in helping him to follow up, so that the society of that ward at least be able to understand what are the plans about the youth center. Well, there's a lot that we can say, in fact, about that youth center, the benefits. I know there was Xolani there, Thokoza, Youth Progressive, kids were doing homeworks there. There was a number of programs. Even us, we had, events, meetings, there, you see. So that facility, serviced, the community, greatly, and we need, to respond speedily, in rebuilding it, That must happen, and it should not be a matter of the campaign that 2026 is coming, What is due to the community?
It's due to the community.
It's due to the community.
Finish and plan.
Yeah.
Comrade, cancel. 30 years plus GNU, Thokoza is not attractive at all. You look at Kumalo Street, it's Chasinje Street, giving its history. Now, when you look at, there's a squatter camp called Mandela. In these 30 years, as an activist now, people, they are still living in shacks. They're still using the bucket system toilets. Asikhulumi ke nge-auditorium that whereby now even the taxis sukuyapakwa nje lapha kuyazenzela and stuff. Now give us the program. If maybe you were to be the executive mayor or the premier of Gauteng, how would you deal with the situation, Sase Mandela? You hear Comrade Panyaza, they're talking in terms of moving people of Alexander from here to there, but we are not hearing any program that address Abantu Base Mandela living in shacks, still using the bucket system.
No, I'm glad that I'm not speaking on behalf of the city of Ekurhuleni or the
You as an activist.
It's me as an activist.
Sure.
Look, I strongly have, I have a different view when it comes to housing.
Yeah.
It's not only Mandela, here in our area we have Mandela, we have Mpilisweni, we have Tintua, we have Colliard just behind us. We have Polar Park, Kosovo, Vukuzenzele, just to name a few.
Sure.
And if we can quantify the amount of money that is put on human settlement as a department in housing people, and many a times housing people that might not have a capacity to even maintain the houses or pay the rates that comes with the house. If I were to be given a space to have a view in that, I would say that let's take the money and roll it to economic program that those same people that are deserving a shelter be assisted, so that continuously they can participate in the economy. What's the use really of giving a house to a person that does not have a salary? Now we can go to those human settlement, collect the data there. You'll find out that many of the people who are residing, they've already have houses. Now I've got a number of them that I talk to, in Polar Park. I know their houses. I know they have houses in Greenfields. Many of them, Bashalala Paya in Polar Park. Kanjani. Kanjani.
Yeah.
And then the person who's deserving, or even them, by the way, they were deserving, or maybe they are still deserving. But the question of now, I have an RDP house, but I can't afford it. Electricity, revamping it, I don't have a salary. Now this house become some sort of a rental tool for an individual now. We are not addressing a shelter issue now. We're addressing now, it has changed to be an economical issue now. Now, why from the onset we must not have a program that says that instead of building a house, we can utilize the same money or even less in helping the people to be participants, in the value chain of our economy and be able to then build a shelter for them. And for that, I know this might be controversial. I would allow people to live freely in their shelters, in their shacks. I'll give them electricity, I'll give them water, and find a way of sanitation as well, and say that when you are ready, we of course we do have those programs. They are called service stands, you see, where people, will in their time will be able to build a house, according to their capacity.
Sure.
But I think, we must be more economical with these things than just providing a shelter. So I hold a different view comparing to what things are being done in terms of providing houses.
Okay. Winter's just upon us. Now, in terms of, I don't know, your government calls this, it's no longer a low shedding now. Yeah.
Our government.
They're saying it's low reduction. I want us to take us through that in terms of your word. I know for a fact that Extension 1, you Eden Park, so is Polar Park, whenever there was this kind of a problem, you were hands-on in trying to assist. Now, the low reduction issue, there's a rumor that says inatal sprayed samgelo iyabuya siyabuya lesa sibedlela. If you have got any info, just please feed us through as to is it true or not. Okay. And if siyabuya, why sihambile from the first place?
Okay, quickly on the electricity one. We haven't been having a load reduction in Thokoza for a while now. We're hoping that we're not going to have it, but we've been, having cable failures and the transformer failure, especially in the Kumalo station that is there. And I'll put it blunt, that must be one of the priorities, Zaga Mayor. And all times, masine chance tina singama councillor wase Thokoza. That's our cry, Please revamp that station. It's probably old, and there was one of the transformers, a year, if not 2 years ago, it caught fire, and we were assisted by getting a second hand from Albertine, I think. We are still pushing with that. So it's that station is not at its full capacity, and that must be addressed, and it must be addressed now in summer, so that it's not an oops come June, July. It's not as if we don't know, we know, and we're reporting it. But as councillors, as I would have said, that we're not executive, we're as good as reporting the matters and following them up. We are not the implementing agents, our implementing agent, is the mayor and the executive. After we have approved the budget that they've required, they must be able to implement. So we will definitely follow up on the issue of electricity at all material time.
Umkiti unokuthi makabhala ku Facebook at you ngusina iyeza lemvula umhlakazo sithokoza uhamba. It's been a number of years the outcry of that substation just next to a Thokoza garden. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, we call it 105.
Yes, 105 and like now you're saying Uguti, you've been like addressing this with the the executive mayor and his team. Do you think perhaps by just before June, we can get maybe something that can be fixed?
Well, because I'm not executive, and I don't want to make up information, I prefer to speak on what I know.
Yeah.
I don't want to give false hopes.
Okay.
What I can confirm, though, is that we are not going to stop following up, whether it's going to be done next week, next month, or in the next 6 months, or we might miss even this winter, but we definitely, I would have said that, we must not speak about elections, but if it must be an electioneering program, it will have to be, people of Thokoza, have been suffering, with that. So it must be addressed, but don't expect me to confirm that I'm committing in the next 3 months or 6 months. It's for the mayor, to commit, not me.
Yeah.
Mine is to definitely follow it up.
One famous guy, Uti, being a politician, it's another form of being one person udila ngama heist. Shame, no, it's in line with that. Councillor Mzi, the ANC leading government, ekurhuleni phecelezi la eThokoza, they had no plan, none whatsoever. And I'm throwing under the bus here. Your comrades are here. There is something that they did, but it's a training center or training system center just behind youth center. People of Basotho, they're still struggling. Now, Lamanzi Abolile, there's a smell that now goes to the household there. You, as an activist, what do you think should be the plan?
Okay, I think let me correct it. That was wrong information. That's a dam.
Okay.
It's an attenuation dam.
Here, some girl. Okay.
Just behind the youth center, between Semduli and youth center.
Yes.
Yeah, it's an attenuation dam. An attenuation dam is I'm sure it's an engineering term, attenuation term, that it collects water, and then water, when they come, obviously in full force, then the water subsides a bit, so that when they go to the next, point, they are managed. You'd remember in Kumalo Street, once there's too much rain, most of the houses, water will come into their houses. So that dam has served the purpose of managing the water, But now, what then became a problem, which should have been foreseen by the city, was having an open dam that people would throw, or have dumping, and the smell and things like that. And I've seen attenuation dam in other countries, in the world. They actually close them. So if there was a clear plan, Lapana, that thing was supposed to be a park. Remember, if it's an attenuation dam, you can't build other structures or put some weight in it. So it was supposed to have columns, be closed up, and have some trees or some braai stands or things like that. So that underneath it addresses the purpose, it manages the problem where, houses were affected by water. But then it be utilized for something else where people can come in and have their meetings and sit and things like that. It's something as well that we're following up with the city, that unfortunately what we wanted to address was addressed. But now the bigger problem, environment. To an extent that if environment can come and make an assessment, the city might be penalized for that. It's horrible. It's so horrible.
Yo, Kido, where is that heading? Who cancel out there?
I've been waiting for this.
Because the reason why we are asking you this as an activist is a lot of things, Katoras, the Ziapuga and the community they do report these kind of things, but they do get tired. And we do have Abu Comrade Bazuga, whom are active in addressing, trying to assist in terms of these kind of things. And now you're giving us another vision now to say, if the plan maybe it was there and things were done correctly, we shouldn't have sibe nehlathi elifana naleli. Now the issue is esibuyela back kuyo ukuthi on how active SU councillors are, because in your ward, like I said to you, you are a darling there. You hands on. You always available. And the question is now, in terms of other councillors, why can't they operate just like yourself?
Bravos, I'm going to be very much careful here in coming in as a better councillor than the other.
As an activist, though.
I think they are trying their best as well. I think it's due to me as well and all of us to help them. My belief, Mina, is that once a person is given a space to lead, it becomes our role to make that person a better leader. And if indeed there's shortcomings when it comes to my fellow councillors, I can't be, I can't be immune to those critiques, as a councillor too. Maybe I must take it upon to myself as an activist, to make it a point that they do better, You might say that I'm doing better. I'm sure there's a number of people out there that are saying that, he's not. We are fine. So I doubt if we are going to appeal the same to everyone. But I think it's the role of the organization, the ANC, as a leader of the society, to continue capacitating the councillors to do better, but also attracting people who can do better as well. In my casual conversation out there, I was saying that, in fact, the brand ANC carried us for the longest time. And then now, unfortunately, it's down in the floor. Now we're going to need credible people, credible leaders that are going to shoulder the brand ANC. Because what I'm seeing is a phase, we're in a very terrible phase. And we're going to come back. But with credible people, of course. If we're going to continue in this fashion, where you are saying to me that there's a complaint about this and that about some of our comrades, it means that indeed there's something that we must do. So mine is to say, it is enshrined in my space as well, my position to really help them, to be better leaders. So do all of us.
Speaking of credible people, we are still looking councillorship council. Now the ANC, it has changed its tune in terms of the councillors or whoever that wants to get to a space of a role of a leadership. They've just said, at least have a metric. And there are those cadres on the ground whom they're capable. It's just the issue with abana metric. But in addressing the issues of the community and so on and so forth, bavalelwa ile nto manje ethi Vusi awuna metric man, so mela esiding. What's your take on that?
Bravos, we're 30 years now in it, 31 years. And if indeed comrades are committed, there's nothing that stops us from having that metric. I'm not saying that those who are having capacity and experience should be blocked. But the number of technical issues that we come across in the city, they need a level of literacy. You can't oversee a director, a specialist, a CFO, if you don't have a minimum, at least, be able to read through those documents and be able to ask relevant questions and be able to follow up, and hold them accountable. Now, if indeed a person is just popular, but that person can't really reach through the reports and make sense out of the report and ask relevant questions, we're going to have a problem. I support, that leaders that to be elected, they must have metric and more, by the way. Not only metric, especially now that it's us. It can't be that a person nowadays is not umntangayam ona just over 40 years. Akana metric kanjani. Kanjani, brothers. Yeah, but that's a problem. You can go to go to ABET, you can go to ekurhuleni EWC,
yes,
and get level 4, equivalent to metric. I'm saying I'm doing a last year now in a program that I started 2023, full 4 years. I'm over 40, but I've started. Which means education is important.
It's important.
We can't also, send this into a logic only. People must be able to research.
Correct.
People must be able to be innovative. Because now we're only operating on the information, too much information in front of us. But if you can make use now of that information, in line, of course, with your study, you'll be able to be productive. So I support that because we must have councillors that are productive.
I know ukuthi kune leadership deployment, Comrade Mziyanda. Now, you are a chairperson of something lab.
Impact.
Were you taken based on leadership deployment or based on your capability in terms of the educational background?
Well, I'm not too sure, if the leadership would have really looked at that. But I want to answer you on the cadership or the cader deployment. By the way, there's nothing wrong with cader deployment. If an organization invested in you to make you a cader, you are given capacity, and then the organization must not deploy you. So why cader deployment is frowned at, I am sure other political parties have their cadres as well. If you are a cadre of DA, that the DA has taken you to some program, workshop, not even if it's a formal education, and you are capable, now you are ready to serve.
Sure.
Is that person not a cadre? I support cadre deployment. Cadres are people who are processed, are not just people. Are people, once you are referred to as a cadre, it means that you have earned that position, or that attribute. Therefore, we must benefit from you because we've invested from you. So I would assume, therefore, that the leadership, would have checked number of us, in the caucus of the ENC, and they've seen me as deservingly, at the time, to be the chairperson of MPEC. But it could have been any other person, or all of us as councillors. Once you are a councillor, you can be deployed as a mayor, you can be deployed as a speaker. In fact, for you to qualify to be a mayor, the first thing that you must become is becoming a councillor. So all of us, who are deployed, before we are deployed, we are councillors.
So, who graduated Councillor Mziyanda, so surely maybe when we proceed with our conversation, we'll touch to the mayorship. Let's talk more of what the executive mayor has just done a couple of days back in terms of reshuffling. He has reshuffled the committee, and now there's outcry from the economic freedom fighters. And the nature of the EFF almost is that should things not be done in our favor, when we come back we're going to come back strong. We're talking also the issue of service delivery. The impact of the reshuffling versus a service delivery. Don't you think Uguti EFF is going to bounce back strong and try to distract whatever the programs are there?
Well, the impact of the collaboration and these GNUs is that it becomes the game of numbers. Okay. For you to be able to pass a particular item in the council, you must have numbers. Now, certain people, they must be appeased, by them being given positions, because if we don't, we are not going to be able to continue governing, The EFF chose DA 2021 because they could not agree with us. Then they propelled, Tania Campbell to be the mayor, from DA, because they were able to take their numbers and give them to DA, you see. So at play currently, unfortunately, it's just a game of numbers. And I'm sure the mayor is in a very awkward position, and the leadership where they're supposed to sit and strategize on who must be given what, so that we are able to agree, Otherwise, it's so difficult now running government on the basis that we are dealing with issues at an item by item. Some, they can just sit there and say that, I don't feel like supporting you today. Just give me R1 million. If you don't give me R1 million, I'm no longer part of the GNU. So definitely that will affect, service delivery negatively, By the way, I was okay. I was one of the councillors who were okay when the ANC was in opposition, 2021. Yeah. Because, people decided to punish us. I strongly believe that if our society wants to give to ANC fully, let's fix our ANC and govern fully. But if the society is not ready to give us fully, DA fully, EFF fully, Action SA fully, because this mixture that we are in is worse than having one party, that is able to do or not able to do.
Speaking of which, the local government elections, surely maybe this year, they're going to take place. Now, in terms of the campaigning for the ANC, all over the country, the ANC is not in ruling fully. So, like when you check 10 years back, this city of ekurhuleni, Nempugani wants to govern this city. In terms of campaigning, you as the ANC, what are they in place? Because people, to be quite honest, Comrade Mziyanda, people are saying the ANC must just relinquish power and ANC must move back. Maybe the ANC might come back strong. And the ANC is all over now. Just yesterday, the 21st, you had a workshop, a civic center there in Albertine, whereby the head of elections, they were giving a comrade workshop. The lost ground. What are you going to do in terms of your campaign, especially in the city of ekurhuleni?
Well, elections are contested. The ANC is going to contest the elections. I hope and believe that leadership is ready with all the plans. That should be communicated to all the structures, which I'm not in a good space, to speak on them, as I'm sitting here. But definitely, the ANC is going to be in full force on the ground, doing what they can do the best. What I would advise my organization is that I feel they are not doing well when it comes to they are not doing well when it comes to the social media. Other parties, they have places like this where they're sitting with laptops, with computers, funding social media, where you'd realize that people are saying all sorts of negative things about the ANC. And the ANC is not there you know, to really contest in that space or give an alternative information. I think we must just improve on that, you know. But that's go for campaigning. I'm not talking about service delivery.
Yes.
So whether we win or we don't win, the ANC holds, you know, the belief, strong belief, according to our ideology, that we are representing the people. So whether we are leading or not leading, we must continue representing our people. Hence, I'm saying that 2021, when we're an opposition party, I was ready as a councillor to continue representing my people from an opposition point of view. You know, so if we are going to end up there, which is a very big if, you know, I know we're at 40 now, you know, and I doubt if we'd lose 10, you know, if we lose. And if you would ask me, what do you think, what we are going to get, you know, I would say we are going to get 45.
45.
Because if there's still Mziyanda that is supported by the community of 53 or by the community of Thokoza, we just need to multiply Mziyanda. If I'm that credible fellow that I was referring to, you know, then we must just get those credible people to represent people honestly and do the right thing on behalf of the ANC. Well, that's the only leader of the society, you know.
Clearly, the divorce papers are there, they've been signed, and the motion of no confidence against the executive mayor, the EFF won't let this go, right? And now, who are you going to team up in terms of protecting that?
Yeah, as I would have said again, you know, in the ANC, you know, we're highly structured. You know, there's leadership. Certain things are meant for leadership, and then will be called in, you know, to toe the party line. And they are well capable. I'm sure they are seasoned with that. You know, and also that will definitely be informed as well by who are willing, you know, to rebuild with us, to renew with us, you know, and continue servicing the community with us. But I'm positive, you know, I'm very objective that they are going to find parties that are going to work with us to keep the ANC and the collaborative government in charge, you know. As there are a number of improvements, we might take it negative, this issue of Madlanga, you know, but having Madlanga, it's a sign that we are heading towards right direction.
Yes.
Having things being exposed, you know, and hoping that there will be consequences, you know, there must be consequences. So that it's really true. According to me, it's heading to the right direction.
The then executive mayor, you would have went to, these are social media speaking, to say while he was still the executive mayor of ekurhuleni, there were no corruption elements and all of that. Do you think by now, with executive mayor Thokoza, there's corruption?
I don't want to say there was no corruption at a particular time, and there's more corruption now than before. Corruption is something that takes place at a particular department, there probably at supply chain, where the mayor is not there, whether maybe the city manager is not there, or me as a councillor, I'm not there. And then you'll pick up when the books are audited, and then the auditor generally picks up that there are some irregularities.
Okay.
And then when you investigate, you find out that it's actually deeper than just an irregular. There's a fruitless expenditure, there's a wasteful expenditure, and things like that, you know. And unfortunately, there's this thing that I always say, that fraudsters and corrupt people are bred in the street, in our environment, in our houses, you know. Bangenanga massive abanye lapha na kwamasipala, you know. And mabenza le fraud le, unfortunately it's pointed to the leadership, the mayor, the councillor, you know. But an engineer who decide to do that is not pointed to, you see. But ours is to have very tight controls, to be proactive that must not really recur, you see. Where I am as a chairperson of MPEC, everything that is being raised, in the books, in the AG as irregulars, I pick them and I pronounce, to council. I implement Section 32, whether it's recovery or writing it off. But we are very firm on the consequence management. That there's a disciplinary board there. It must have teeth. And they must report back, to council at least quarterly, to tell us how many have they processed, if they were found guilty, so that we are proactive as well. And in the next year, we must not get the same irregularities. If we're able to pick them last year, why again this year are we talking about same irregularities? And the city manager must be able to account. Who is doing this there at your supply chain?
Sams, I don't know, man. Do you have something when no chair? Just in closing, in funwe partisa u councillor. Chair ungathi ungikuvalele ngaphandle. Just a quick one, yes.
Oh yeah, no. What I want to say is that South Africa was still a young democratic country, and we're a constitutional democracy. Systems are there. You've spoken about the infrastructure, like you said. There are systems at the municipal level that, as the ANC, we must be able to utilize as a branch of the ANC to call for an agent intervention, so that that place can be revamped. It can play a meaningful role in the society that is skilled on youth development and many other sectors that are youth-driven. But just not to be long, the issue is that this year we're going for local government election. I did say we participate in democracy. For people to stay at home and not go for voting, it's not a process that must be encouraged. We must discourage that at all costs. It's a democracy, its systems are there, it's still working, so people must go out, make sure that the new voters from 18 years and above do register and participate in this participatory democracy of ours. Staying at home, it can be an option.
It's not the way.
Let us use the systems that are there to effect a meaningful change in society. So I'm saying that let's look up to local government elections and ensure that people come in numbers and cast their vote. That is the way that they'll be able to speak their mind as to whom do they want to be led.
Sharp. Mziyanda, Council, in closing, 2027, it's just around the corner. The big event for African National Congress. Panyaza Lusufi, Fikile Mbalula, Patrice Motsepe. If you were, usifanela nami nje shame, usanda nje ukhethwa ukuthi ungene ku ANC, who would you vote for out of these three to become the president of the ANC?
No, I'm sure they are all members and leaders of the ANC. I'm sure the societies in South Africa, hold them in high regard. And I'm sure it should be more of what the ANC can do. Are they willing to do ANC? Or are we going to continue doing ourselves? Sinale motto yethu la Thokoza ukuthi thina sina celebrate la. We are all celebrities. So I would want to say that whoever that becomes a leader, from the three, must be able to do what the ANC expect from them. So I can't really.
Our preference.
No. I prefer the cadre of the ANC to be the president, and do ANC. So I'm not going to say who over the other.
No.
Unless, I'm at the conference, I'm raising the hand.
It is when.
That time, I'm sure I'll be ready.
Yeah.
At this point in time, I just call on all leaders and members of the ANC. The minimum that the ANC requires us, to do. Let's try our best.
Okay. No, we thank you so much. It's 1426, Councillor Mziyanda. Please keep on doing the good work for the community. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Samgelo, no Chairperson Upazuga. Thank you so much for visiting us. This is your platform. This is where we discuss issues of the community, so that for us to move forward. Thank you so much. Busy schedule you were to spend time with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my brother.
Otherwise, Uncensored is the team I play for. Coach Kabozondo, he's still the head coach. We're out of here. Thank you.